Shane New is so excited to present a brand new series of paid ticketed concerts on Zoom. And I'm here with our colleague, Graham Lindsay, and our featured artist for our upcoming show, Scott Cook. How's it going?
Hey, doing great. How about you?
Excellent. Very happy to have you here in this new way of playing music and performing and hosting concerts. But I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about just what it's been like going from living in your van, going all over the place to all of a sudden not.
I actually moved into a house for the first time in 13 years at the beginning of February. So the timing turned out pretty good. I left at the end of February to go back on the road, and I was just like 2 weeks into a big U.S. tour. And when the pandemic hit, and I just had to hightail it home from Austin at that time.
Oh man.
And I've been here ever since, and it's great. Living in a house in Riverdale in Edmonton, nice little neighborhood down by the river. And I happen to be living with my sweetheart and another roommate who's also a musician. So we got a house band. We've been playing online gigs and outdoor gigs lately till the weather turned. We've been doing some things outside.
That's what kind of things have you been doing outside?
Back alleys, side alleys, front yards, some stuff in parks, and we did a parking lot gig. Yeah, just a variety of spaces, in various neighborhoods in and around Edmonton.
How do you find the audiences? Appreciative?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. People, they've all been missing it, there's a friend in town here. He started doing shows early on in the pandemic as soon as the provincial health guidelines allowed. And he ended up doing 69 shows throughout the summer. So some of the ones we did were through him. And the first show that I went to in the real world since this all happened was one of his. And I remember just being kind of caught by surprise by how moved I was to be outside, like listening to songs again. And I'm seeing that on the faces of the people at the shows. People are really moved. The coolest thing for me is actually just to see how some of these neighborhoods have really become a more of a community because they've got like an ongoing series. One of these back alleys that we played, they had 15 shows throughout the summer every Saturday. And all these neighbors are like friends now because they're all hanging out every Saturday and they're watching music and just having a good time. And it feels neighborly in a way that maybe wouldn't have happened if this hadn't happened.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of folks doing different kinds of shows outside across the country. There's this new organization from Calgary that we've been working with a bit called Curbside Concerts, Matt Masters, and that's been pretty cool to see how like it's engaging the local artists in these different places. Rami Mays has been spearheading the Winnipeg efforts, and you're right. Everyone has been really appreciating it, and we've been sort of feeling it too with the shows we did with James Keelan and Hugh McMillan. Just seeing the looks on the people's faces in the gallery, how happy they are to have access to music. And even though we're online, folks are, the more you get accustomed to Zoom, the more comfortable you feel, and the more you feel you're actually talking to them. So it's exciting, but it is kind of crazy. So you just did your seventh CD, Tangle of Souls, and it comes with a beautiful book that you made about your life on the road. So what was that like to put together?
It was, I was weirdly grateful for the pandemic, actually, just to finish the editing and formatting and all that kind of stuff. It's a no small package,
No.
And I think it would have come out a little half cooked had I not had the time to finish it. But yeah, we recorded it down in Australia last year, and with a string band down there, and I've just been mailing it out that's been my full-time job for the last while. Just sending out copies all around the world. So it's a crazy time to be diving into anything big, but also it feels like a good time. Um, the kind of one of the themes that's running through the book is sort of apocalyptic imaginings, and that was in the book before all this happened. So it's kind of drawn out some of the themes in the book.
Yeah, it's not exactly. I mean, even before the pandemic, the world wasn't necessarily a giant circular bed of roses launching itself through the galaxy with everyone skipping along.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
we were down there when we were down in Australia last time touring, there was crazy bushfires, and
yeah,
some of the places we were going, even Dorgo Folk and Bluegrass Festival that we were at, it was like oppressive, with the red sun, and we actually drove through a fire at one point with water bombers flying overhead and everything. And, so it was all those kind of thoughts are close to mind, and that was a big theme in the book. I ended up writing an afterword during the lockdown, to kind of draw some of those themes into the present. But yeah, it's been getting a great reception so far. It's nice to see it go out into the world.
great. Yeah, no, that is definitely very exciting. So speaking of string band, how would you say that your music, 7 records, how's it changed over those 7 records?
In some ways, it's simplified. I think it's boiled down. I guess even as a writer and as a singer, I feel like with each record, it's kind of like some layers of pretense maybe get lifted off, and you kind of get closer to what you really want to say, and you kind of get closer to your own real voice, um, and some of the trappings kind of just lift off. I mean, definitely my second record was the first I made in a proper recording studio, and here in Edmonton with the music community around, I was like, wow, I can have Rhodes, and I can have like a sweet whirly on this one, and I can have accordion, I can have a steel guitar, I can I can bring in all the backup singers and do choirs, and as time's gone on, they've boiled down to more like a string band in a room. This is the first record that I've made that doesn't have any drums on it at all, and just sounds like a band playing some songs.
Just sounds like a band playing some music. So tell us a little bit about the Indoorables and your
yeah, so that
band
was just
here.
like a lucky draw, really. As I said, I moved into the house with my sweetheart Pamela, and she's been learning the upright bass during the pandemic.
Cool.
And our buddy Elliot Thomas, he had just moved in earlier in the year, and he plays fiddle and banjo and guitar and Weisenborn steel guitar. And,
Nice.
And it kind of dabbles at just about everything, and they both sing, and we've been working out harmonies and stuff. Early on in the pandemic, we started doing some live concerts on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And, pretty steep learning curve on that. Like our first one was sideways, actually. We couldn't figure out how to get it right side up, but gradually, figuring out more about that, and just learning a bunch of old tunes, and learning some of each other's songs, and it's just been really cool. Having the same audience, or some of the same audience, month to month, because we were doing a monthly show, was a good impetus to just like work on new things and try different arrangements of old songs of mine, and just keep seeing what we could do to keep things interesting for the audience.
That's right. There's I think when you talk about stripping off layers and pretense in your music, old time, acoustic instruments really just are very good at supporting songs, you know, and there's a reason. I think for me as a musician as well, I don't want to talk about that too much here, but the main, like I feel like a banjo or a fiddle or a slide guitar, they're very expressive instruments that can do a lot of the things that effects can actually do, but it's real. You know, do you find that that your writing style is affected by the how you imagine it being backed up? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I think I do write oftentimes with a sound in mind, with a accompaniment, sort of an arrangement in mind, and often also write with an audience in mind, with a sort of with a moment in mind, with an occasion in mind, or you know, how you want to present it in mind. So yeah, it certainly informs it. But for me, I guess it's just always been the words. That's been the thing that I latch onto in music. That's the thing I wanna relate to when I'm listening to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, just kind of stripping away the layers, just really, it gives the songs room to breathe, gives the words space to land.
Great. Well, speaking of songs, would you be willing to play us one?
Yeah, I'd be
for
happy to.
For our audience today.
Happy to.
Great.
I was thinking of this one because we were talking about getting the dogs in the call. I think I'm going to see if our Corgi German Shepherd cross will make an appearance on October 20th. So she usually wants, she's got a pretty extensive rider, but I think she can be talked into it.
Well, we'll virtually take care of it.
So I'll play this one for her. We staggered arm in arm here when we were younger. Tried everything they said we shouldn't do. And we took as many trips as we took lovers. But some of these trips, a dog comes back with you. And some of those trysts turned into tricycles. And my wild and reckless friends got safe and old, wheeling little buddy homeward on the bicycle, with all the hope and joy and poop a bike seat could hold. Now the feral festival kidlets keep changing costumes. They run in a pack and dig holes in the ground. And they like sleeping under the table, just like the dogs do. So you watch your step when there's little ones around. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. So we talk about work and what we're reading, why the bastards keep winning, and where we'd move if they did. We talk about who went home with whom at the party last weekend. But eventually we just watch the dogs and kids. Chasing and sniffing and eating's all they're on about. They don't complicate their blues, they just moan. They don't think much about themselves, they just freak out. If they got a bone to pick with you, it's probably just a bone. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. My buddy had a run of bad luck and bad choices. If it goes bad in court, one of us has to take his pup. He's trying to learn to listen to the right voices. Hope he don't have to miss his kid growing up. We were all bulletproof daydream manifestors, but all the bluster just boils down to love. Just wanna be a good uncle, be a good ancestor. I'm taking better care when there's someone to take care of. And I'm a better person when I'm hanging with dogs and kids. Got one thing on their mind at a time, can't keep nothing hid. Remind me we're alive, forgive whatever we did. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids. I'm a better person hanging with dogs and kids.
Thank you very much, Scott, for that
Thank you.
amazing song. I can't wait for the show. So, folks, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time in North America, Scott Cook, Home Roots Online, presented by Home Root Chemin Chez Nous, and in collaboration, I'd like to mention, with the Calgary Folk Club. So we got Graham Lindsay, who's going to be moderating the show with me, and our star of the show, Scott Cook. Thank you so much for joining us today. For tickets, and like our Facebook page and subscribe to us on YouTube. See you soon.